Ark Raiders has set Steam on fire in the best possible way, and as you're watching this, I assume you've got as obsessed with Embark Studios' game as I have. To keep you alive a little bit longer, these are the tips I wish I'd known before I started Ark Raiders. In the survival tree, there is a skill named crafting, which is actually pretty strong, especially for free loadout runs. With it, you'll be able to craft basic materials during your run, but that's not all. Later on, you'll be able to craft grenade laser traps, which is useful for obvious explosive reasons. When doing weekly trials, always do them during night raids or other major events, as doing so will double the amounts of points you get. So, no matter how much you want to pull a sickie to play Ark Raiders all day, doing so later in the evening might actually be in your, and your boss's, best interests. You can hear raider caches by the ticking sound they make. These contain basic materials like bandages, tier 1 weapons, and ammo, meaning there's almost always something useful in there. And while I'm on the subject, turn that podcast off. Certain sound cues, like birds flying away when other players are nearby, or the sound of a shield recharging, can be quiet. So, at least play a bit without any podcast or YouTube video playing so you can get a sense of which noises are harder to hear, and if you really need to hear them at all. Though I'm telling you that you do, so... Airborne Ark are their own kind of transport. While you can, of course, shoot at them from a distance, they can be climbed upon too if you have sufficient hand-eye coordination. You don't really slip off them, so you can ride them if you so wish, but the better approach is to climb atop of them and take them down from above with a melee weapon. It saves ammo, and if you're fighting one on the balcony of a building, it should lower itself to jumping level far easier than it would if you were approaching it from the ground. Don't save dismantling for when you're back in Speranza. While in raid, you can dismantle at will to get crafting components, and should do so if you don't necessarily need the item, but do need its components. Just make sure you're in a safe spot before you start breaking down things, or you'll make an easy target for both Ark and Raiders. Fall damage is quite literally a pain, but there is a way to completely bypass it if you're quick enough, and falling from a specific type of building. Namely, a high-rise with ledged windows beneath you. Learning to catch these ledges will save you from any fall damage, but this is so difficult to master. However, sometimes you just don't have a choice. The photoelectric cloak is indispensable for early game antics. Using it allows you to conceal yourself from Ark, meaning you can sneak past something like a Bastion, acting like an environmental obstacle rather than a combat encounter, without any risk of being spotted. Keeping noise down is essential if you're looking for a low-stress outing. So, you'll want to avoid shooting. Instead, use your multi-tool heavy attack on smaller Ark to take them out, or consider investing in a silenced weapon. Either way, it's a good idea to see sneak melee attacks as your first port of call rather than peppering off shots and potentially attracting bigger Ark. You can trade in your free loadout augment for green tier augments from Lance after you've got far enough with your quests. That's it, that's the tip. Bastions are giant, rare, and a pain to take on, but they have some of the best loot in Ark Raiders, and are worth the trauma of attacking, or being attacked by surprise and not turning tail, every single time. There's an unarmoured weak spot on the rear of the Ark, Bombardiers also have a similar outlet, that you should try and target. Eventually it will explode, dealing damage to the Bastion and crippling parts of its limbs. But don't get too close, it will try to crush you. Being down doesn't mean you're out. You can still extract when you're on death's doormat, and Ark will leave you alone when you topple over. It's other raiders that you actually need to watch out for. Call the elevator, hide if you can, and pray for either a merciful soul or a quick extraction. Along similar lines, if you see dead bodies near or in the elevator, be careful. This can be a sign that someone is camping the extraction point and will pick you off once your back is turned. Each Ark can drop its own core which has special abilities linked to it. For you, that means you can use the Ark ability, but just the once. Cores are a one and done type deal. Fireball burners do AoE burning damage because fire, and the Wasp driver turns into a proximity mine. I've seen people use it as a booby trap, dropping a bunch on the floor and then pulling a leaper or another large Ark so it jumps down on the pile of pain. A word of advice for Wasp drivers though, impact grenades and trigger grenades don't trigger their proximity sensors. It looks like only movement will set them off, so you need an enemy to make contact with the Wasp drivers, no matter how. A Hornet driver is an EMP grenade that stuns enemies, 0.5 seconds for Raiders and 10 seconds for Ark. For humans, use it to interrupt raiders trying to revive their buddies or disrupt those trying to extract. Swoop in and deal damage while they're stunned, or use it to make a quick getaway. And finally, the snitch scanner. Tiny but formidable, the scanner calls for Ark reinforcements, and can be thrown like a grenade, calling down Ark upon other raiders to either distract them, kill them, you hope, or get them off your back if they're hunting you down. Solo players especially should take advantage of the snitch scanner, as it can allow you to make a quick getaway or distract bigger groups of players who are getting a little bit too close for comfort. Smoke grenades aren't just good for slipping away if you want to bail from a fight. Try using them to loot larger Ark. As it takes a while to loot everything from them, you're going to be vulnerable for a prolonged period of time. So, better to do it under an obscuring cloud. This might be futile, but it's worth trying to rely on the kindness of strangers. Use the don't shoot emote, especially if you spot people who are far away or you catch a glimpse of each other in the wild.
Hey, don't shoot!
Yes, some will ignore it and try to eviscerate you, but maybe they'll leave you be, or, even better, help you. Trying not to use this to get people's guard down, only to stab them in the back. Remember the golden rule. Fighting a leaper can involve dodge rolling or focusing on its leg joints or its eye, but there's a sneakier way to take one down. You can encourage it to leap somewhere that will trap it. Once it's stuck, it'll either self-destruct, or it's like a fish in a barrel for you to pick off from a safe distance. I'm going to run through some broad looting tips in this section, so brace yourself. Check your map to see what kinds of zones are nearby, and if you're after trinkets, focus on commercial and residential zones. Then there's also Ark drops, but you want to get in and get out quickly if you snag one of these. Better to extract early and keep your loot than stay longer and risk getting offed by enemies of flesh or circuitry. Some buildings have decorative plants inside that can be sold or used to make medicine. Don't overlook these if you want to make a quick buck, as they seem to go largely ignored by most. Ark are hard to take down because the bigger they are, the more armor they have. Duh, I know, but fire damage ignores armor, which is why it should be your go-to if you're trying to take down a Bastion or a Bombardier. Blaze grenades are essential in these cases, or a fireball burner if you've snatched one up on your way. When it comes to Bombardiers, their auxiliary Ark spotters are what makes them tricky to take down. Bombardiers have two spotters accompanying them that keep an eye on you and relay that to the Bombardier, meaning their strikes are often fatally accurate. Take them down if not for this reason alone, then because they can alert nearby Ark too. Do not forget that Ark can respawn, especially more powerful units like the Bastion and Bombardier. You can hear drop pods hitting the ground and breaking open, and sometimes, along with wasps and hornets, they'll spit out something a lot more powerful. Some on Reddit have said that they've seen powerful Arks appear with just 6 minutes left in the round. So, if you're trying to get specific components and haven't had any luck, it's always worth waiting to see what'll spawn. And there you go. Do you have any other tips you wish you had known before you started to play Ark Raiders? Let all of these /us raiders let us know in the comments below, and if you find one that helps you out, be a gem and thank that person who left it, because it's nice to come back to a happy comment regardless of who you are. If you found this video useful, please like it so I can make more Ark Raiders videos, and subscribe to Eurogamer for more videos about video games almost every single day. Now, I am going to go and pet my rooster, who I feel kindred to, because I too was born in the year of the rooster, so I'll see you folks next time.